Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to the most complete spoken English course on YouTube, where you learn English without boring grammar, without textbooks, and without stress. Here, you learn by listening to real-life stories and answering simple questions that will boost your fluency. Today's story is called "The Day I Forgot the Lesson and Panicked." Let's begin. It was Tuesday morning, and Mr. James, a primary school teacher, woke up feeling off. He had gone to bed late the night before, grading homework and preparing lessons. His alarm didn't go off on time, so he rushed out of bed, skipped breakfast, and barely made it to school on time. Still, he believed he was ready for the day. After all, he had been teaching for years. As he walked into the building, a student ran up to him and said, "Mr. James, are we going to do the volcano experiment today?" Mr. James froze. Volcano experiment? He smiled nervously and said, "Yes, of course. It'll be fun." But the truth was, he had no idea what the student was talking about. He walked quickly to his classroom, closed the door, and pulled out his planner. He flipped through the pages. Monday, Tuesday, nothing. The lesson space was blank. No notes, no plan, nothing. His heart started to race. How could he forget a whole lesson? He checked his email. A message from the principal read, "Excited to see your volcano demo today. The science team will drop by during the second block." Mr. James felt his stomach twist. Now he remembered. Last week, during a staff meeting, he had volunteered to teach a live volcano demonstration for Science Week. He was supposed to build a model, show how chemical reactions work, and let the students participate. And he had completely forgotten. He stood in the middle of his classroom, surrounded by nothing but blank walls and confused thoughts. Panic started to creep in. He checked the clock. He had 15 minutes before the second block. His students were already entering the room, excited and smiling. One student asked, "Do we get to wear lab coats today?" Another shouted, "Is it gonna explode, Mr. James?" He gave a weak smile and said, Let's all take our seats first." He stepped out of the classroom for a moment and called the front office. "Hi, is there any chance someone can bring me baking soda and vinegar? Like, right now?" The secretary laughed. "You forgot your volcano, didn't you?" "Yes," he whispered. "Completely." Within 10 minutes, a small bag arrived with baking soda, vinegar, and even a red plastic cup. He quickly grabbed a paper plate and an empty bottle from the recycling bin. He cut the bottle, taped the cup inside, placed it on the plate, and poured some baking soda in. It looked terrible. Just then, the principal and two science coordinators walked in. "Ready for the big moment, Mr. James?" the principal said. He forced a smile and nodded. "Absolutely." He turned to the class. "Today, we're going to see what happens when we mix an acid and a base. Let's create a chemical reaction." He slowly poured vinegar into the volcano. The reaction began to fizz, foam, and bubble over. The class clapped and cheered. "Wow, it's exploding!" The science coordinator smiled. "Simple but effective. Well done." Mr. James exhaled, deeply. After they left, he sat on the edge of his desk and said, "Okay, kids, now let's talk about why this works." One student raised her hand and asked, "Mr. James, did you just make that volcano with trash?" He smiled, finally relaxed, and said, Yes, I did." The whole class laughed. At the end of the day, as students were packing up, one of them left a sticky note on his desk. It read, "That was the best class ever. Thank you for not canceling it." Mr. James smiled and thought to himself, maybe panic isn't always a bad thing. It just means you care. Now it's time for your quiz. Let's test how much you understood from the story. Remember, Answer out loud, and you have 5 seconds to respond after each question. Ready? Let's go. What happened when Mr. James arrived at school? Mr. James realized that he had forgotten to prepare the volcano experiment that he promised to do for Science Week, and he didn't have anything ready for his lesson. How did Mr. James find out that the volcano experiment was expected? A student reminded him as soon as he entered the building, and then he saw an email from the principal confirming that the science team would visit during the experiment. What was written in Mr. James's planner for that day? Nothing. The space where his lesson plan should have been was completely blank, which meant he had made no notes or preparation for the demonstration. How much time did he have to prepare before the experiment started? He had only 15 minutes before the second block began and the science team arrived to watch his presentation. What did Mr. James do to solve the problem quickly? He called the front office to ask for baking soda and vinegar, then used a paper plate, a plastic bottle, and a red cup to create a last-minute volcano model. What did the students expect when they arrived in class? The students were excited and asked about lab coats, explosions, and the volcano experiment. They clearly thought it was going to be something amazing. How did Mr. James feel when the principal and science coordinators walked in? He felt extremely nervous and pressured, but kept a calm face and pretended everything was going according to plan. What happened when he poured the vinegar into the volcano? The volcano fizzed and bubbled over just like it was supposed to, and the students cheered while the science team smiled and complimented the demonstration. What did one student say about the volcano? One student asked if Mr. James had made the volcano using trash, and when he said yes, the entire class laughed and seemed to enjoy the lesson even more. How did Mr. James feel at the end of the day? He felt proud, relieved, and even amused. A student left a note thanking him for not canceling the class, and it reminded him that sometimes quick thinking and heart matter more than perfection. Great job. Even if you didn't get all the answers, remember, the goal is to practice speaking and listening. Now let's go over some vocabulary from today's story. Let's take a closer look at some key words and expressions from the story. Fizz. A soft sound made when bubbles rise and pop in a liquid. For example, the soda started to fizz when I opened it. Panic. A sudden feeling of fear or worry. For example, he panicked when he realized he forgot his speech at home. Blank. Empty or with nothing written. For example, the page was blank because she hadn't done her homework. Demo. Short for demonstration, when someone shows how something works. For example, the teacher gave a science demo using magnets. Twist. A turning feeling in your stomach caused by nervousness. For example, he felt a twist in his stomach before speaking in front of the class. Exhaled. Breathed out, especially after feeling stressed. For example, she exhaled slowly after the test ended. Foam. Bubbles that form on a liquid. For example, the soap foamed up when I added water. Recycling bin. A container where you put materials that can be reused. For example, he found an empty bottle in the recycling bin. Sticky note. A small piece of paper with glue on one side. For example, She left him a message on a yellow sticky note. Effective. Something that works well. For example, her speech was simple but effective. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. You are doing something amazing by learning English with stories. If you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends so more people can enjoy these stories and learn English the easy way. This is Docentes DigitalesTV, where you learn to speak English fast, easy, and with confidence. See you in the next video.